Thanks a lot for staying with TVC Breakfast. It's time now to take a look at stories making the headlines on Nigerian newspapers this morning. And first off is First News. The big story there is on the Bayelsa poll, as finally it says INEC declares Diri winner, make good governance priority. Now these are expectations on the governor who has now won a second term. President Tinubu is telling not just the governor of Bayelsa State, but governors of Imo State, as well as the governor-elect, so to speak, that's Ododo, this in Kogi State. Well, Diri applauds Tinubu, pledges to accommodate all in his victory speech, while the Bayelsa governor's re-election is a reward for good governance. This is from the Delta State governor. Now, NLC TUC defy court order, begin nationwide strike, mobilize members for strike as federal government warns Labour to respect court order. Well, no election in Kogi State, INEC only allocated votes. This is stance by Dino Melaye, who contested at the Kogi election. Tinubu inherited bankrupt country, that's according to the National Security Advisor. President now inaccessible to APC leaders, ex-deputy chair alleges. Tinubu orders withdrawal of police orderlies from VIPs. We are not planning to shut down gas plant for maintenance in 2024. And youth group hails NASCAR. Tambowal warns against blackmail. Quickly now in Nigerian News Direct. Political parties kick as INEC declares Diri winner of Bayelsa election. Accord concedes defeat as Labour Party, SDP, three others reject outcome. Diri promises inclusive governance, hails Tinubu. PDP governors congratulate Diri, say victory validation for good governance in first term. Other stories there, organized labor ignores court order, proceeds with nationwide strike. And despite new refineries coming on board, Nigeria may still continue importing crude oil. That's from the Content Development Agency. Also, it is judiciary alone that can build confidence for investors. This is an address by the president to the National Judicial Council. And on the front page of the Leadership newspaper, the National Identity Management Commission, the NIMC, now the debt accrued by this agency is threatening the National Identity Card project. Now, this is a report from a report, and then the DG of the agency is also speaking as to reasons behind delay in necessary payments. All right, Ododo Uzodimma unveiled blueprint as Diri get second term. And on the issue of an assault on the NLC president, Ajaero, Labour begins indefinite strike, maintains its stance, demands removal of Imo Police Commissioner and arrest of suspects. But the Attorney General of the Federation is quoted as, telling the union leaders, you must respect subsisting court order. Tight security in Kano ahead of appeal court governorship verdict. I'm sure many people will be expectant as to the judgment of the appellate court on the Kano governorship tussle. And then College of Education lecturers reject 40% internally generated revenue remittance. Other stories there, WAEC plans computer-based exam for private candidates. Saudi Arabia cancels visa of 264 Nigerian passengers. Check out all these stories and others on the from the newspaper Leadership, that is. Let's see Daily Independent. Despite court order, Labour begins nationwide strike today. Railway workers, others join. Aviation workers, in the meantime, shun action. Action illegal, immoral, unjustifiable, and irresponsible, says the presidency. Senate to consider diaspora voting this week. Senate leader Bamidele is speaking there. CJN, NJI administrator task judges on sustenance of public trust. David Cameron returns to UK government as Foreign Secretary. Really interesting read there. and re-elected Diri in Bayelsa State says he will continue to be governor for all. In Edo State, Governor Obaseki is said to have extended free bus service by 3 months in the light of the impact of the fuel subsidy removal. And on the Imo governorship poll regarding the outcome, opposition lawmakers maintain that it was a product of electoral rascality, call on INEC to invoke Electoral Act and recalculate figures. Finally, with me, just before the last paper with me, is Blueprint. Police Ministry to effect withdrawal of officers from VIPs, that's according to the minister. Federal government moves to secure jobs for Nigerians in foreign companies, and reps query the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission over 39 billion mass metering contract. Now, these are the stories behind or just below the masthead, but the biggest story remains the said flouting of labor to the court order as it moves to begin a nationwide strike today. AGF Lateef Fagbemi is quoted there, surrender to rule of law and obey subsisting order. Presidency maintains that this strike is ego-tripping and not in national interest. NIMET promises to explore PPP for meteorological activities, and NDIC clarifies misleading reports on liquidation of 20 banks. Finally, is this Nigeria. FCT Minister Wike receives UAE envoy, seeks reversal of visa ban on Nigerians. That's the news there just beside the masthead. The big story remains the defiance of labor to a court order as it insists strike will go on. And now, 3 kidnapped victims rescued as police foil terrorist attack in Katsina State. Finally, is this report from Kano State as the Chief Judge sets up performance evaluation committee for magistrates. Ibrahim.
Salient Times is the first with me here. NLC, TUC begin nationwide strike, midnight. It's illegal. Labour blackmailing federal government with planned strike. That's the presidency reacting there. 2 Loma highway sweepers crushed to death in Lagos. Lagos Task Force denies involvement. WAEC to conduct computer-based exams for private candidates. And FRC removes state sector commander after comment about fuel subsidy. Tinubu congratulates Uzodinma Ododo. PDP's Diri says their victories reflect people's wishes. 8 die, many missing as boat carrying Taraba passengers capsizes in Benue. And above the masthead, Uniport students remanded in prison over murder of girlfriend. Said Oshupa, MC Oluoma, and long-time beef. His adopted daughter hijacked funds donated for him, Mr. Ibu's wife alleges. That's about it. That's about it for the Salient Times. The Punch newspaper is next. Strike. Federal government threatens labor with contempt. Charge NLC. Contempt charge, rather. Federal government threatens labor with contempt charge. NLC adamant. Nationwide strike indefinite. NLC boasts. Federal government fumes, says labor disobeys court order. NLC, TUC right ASU, electricity unions demand compliance, justice for Ajaero. And governorship polls, Tinubu Lords, INEC, PDP faults Kogi, Imo results. Tinubu Lords, INEC, PDP faults Kogi, Imo results. The 20 die as Taraba boat on fishing expedition capsizes. Lagos driver protests LASMA extortion, commuters stranded. Can Kwara Governor Oyedepo mourn as CNS leader dies? And above the nameplate, why I rejected 114% pay rise for judges. That's the president. You see that on page 7. Saudi Arabia revokes Air Peace passengers' visas in Jeddah. And then federal government withdraws over 100,000 policemen from VIPs. That's it for the Punch newspaper. Next is the Nation newspaper. Strike not in nation's interest. Presidency cautions labor. NLC, TUC declare industrial action over assault on Ajaero. AGF respect court order. Now, this is going to be indefinite until government at all levels wake up to their responsibility. That's the NLC and the presidency responding, saying, why would NLC and TUC decide to punish a whole country over a personal matter, as opposed to the NLC? Judges' pay to go up. Federal government to build quotas for judicial officers. Diri defeats Silva to secure re-election. Above the masthead, experts counsel WAEC over computer-based WASSCE. Now, Saudi stops 177 Nigerians from entering the country. Government launches probe. And federal government streamlines borrowings by states. That's about it for the Nation newspaper. Next is the Guardian newspaper. International Day. Doctors, patients bemoan diabetes epidemic to 100% spike on treatment. Doctors, patients bemoan diabetes epidemic to 100% spike on treatment. NLC, TUC ignore court order, begin nationwide strike over assault on Ajaero. Knox praise for INEC as Diri coasts to victory in Bayelsa. Human trafficking. Benue ranked highest as 1.6 million Nigerians get trapped in modern slavery. Next is the pandemonium as driver fleeing from last mile officials kills 2 sweepers. That's it for the Guardian newspaper. Next is the Daily Trust newspaper. Naira scarcity worsens as banks limit withdrawals. ATMs run dry. The riders read, merchants groan as farmers insist on cash for grains. Cattle traders affected in North, POS operators lament. Middlemen get reward for attracting cash. And then bandits burn farms in Niger, impose levies, drop contact number. Queues resurface in Abuja as petrol sells for 640 naira per litre. Tinubu's government inherited empty treasury. That's according to the NSA. Over 30 fishermen killed in fresh Taraba boat mishap. Conversion of petrol vehicles to CNG to cost 600 million naira. That's according to the federal government. Right. So NLC, TUC begin nationwide strike today over attack on Ajaero. That's then 177 deported as Saudi Arabia cancels visas of Air Peace passengers. Federal government probes, orders probe, and Hajj Umrah tour operators kick. Conversion of petrol vehicles to CNG to cost 0.6 million naira. That's according to the federal government. Now, Business Day is next. Number of Nigerians studying in U.S. defies rising dollar. Hits 17,640 in 2022-2023 academic year. Flaws in off-cycle elections seen as threat to democracy. Resetting Nigeria's tertiary education through Wigwe University. Oh, well, and manufacturers' inventories to decline over high import tariffs. That's about it for, okay, then we have EU says CBN lacks firepower to defend the Naira. Last but not least is Business AM. Africa Development Bank partners burnish Africa as next frontier for global investors. AFDB partners burnish Africa as next frontier for global investors. Showcase continent's value chain at AIF. AIF raises $34.82 billion investment interest. Digital tax collection could help Africa close $60 billion gap, says report. That's it for the Business AM. That's all we have for the newspapers.
Right, Ibrahim. And, well, there we have it, all the major stories. We'll see how the strike move pans out today. because the issue, as we have, said at the beginning of the show, stems from, the legitimacy or otherwise of this particular round of strike, and with the two main sides, the Labour and the federal government, because it's not just about the Imo State government now, since it has national dimensions. The federal government has spoken tough on this matter, but quite concerning. Another report there, it happened in Lagos. Many residents who plied the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, or will I say the Charlie Boy bus stop area yesterday, had a bit of, a very, very nasty experience on the road. And, it was a deadly, occurrence, so to speak. Two Loma sweepers, whose job is to maintain cleanliness on that route now, sadly lost their lives. We understand that they are siblings. We also understand that the driver of the vehicle was evading an arrest by LASMA officials. A few months ago, we had a scenario like this. A woman, I believe, and her child, also, were gunned down, or so to speak, although they were actually attacked, so to speak, still from an evading vehicle who was, running away from, chasing LASMA officials. And this is a very worrisome trend.
That's right.
And we hope that sanity will return to our roads. Sanity will return. I don't know how LASMA will do it. Traffic managers will do it now. Of course, we also need to speak to ourselves as people. It's an arrest, for crying out loud. And now, see what has happened. Two sweepers have sadly lost their lives in the process.
It's very sad. It's really very sad. We condole the families of those who have lost those who lost their lives, and it's very important for Lagos State government to ensure sophistications on our road. We know there are some certain part of the road where you do need to run after the drivers. The camera will capture them, so they should expand this across the metropolis, across the states, and also other states should they should learn from how to make this. Right.
We're actually watching, some shots now from the happenings of yesterday at that same axis of the road. We just saw, the broom, which was, obviously being used by one of the sweepers. Those are their main tools now for, cleaning the roads. And this is indeed a very, very worrisome development. It's happened again, and we hope this will be the last, But sadly, as you have said, a family is grieving not just the death of one loved one,
That's right.
but two.
That's right. That's right. It's really very sad. So I believe that the Lagos State government is investigating this matter. They should get to the root cause. Whoever is found, wanting, complicit in all of this should definitely be dealt with according to, the dictates of the law. Whether it is from the LASMA official, and the one who was also evading arrest. So it's very, very key that we ensure sophistication on our roads in our cities, so that we don't have to be running after criminals, let me just call them that way, because the way some people even drive on the road, and some people get their vehicles on the road without having, the proper documents, and whoever is found complicit should really, really be brought to justice.
Right. It will not be the first time the government will come down hard on, its personnel, and we hope that if this is found to be so, if anyone has, is guilty of any infractions at all, the residents, are definitely expecting some clarity and some needed communication by government regarding this needless deaths.
And the family of those who lost their life, the family should be
entitled,
compensated.
To due compensation, whatever that means. It will not bring back the dead, but at least it will, give them some form of, closure at this point. Our hearts, go out, to the grieving families, and we pray for the repose of the souls of the slain.